Okay, so this is just a continuation of the last video in case you wanted to watch me finish out the sphere, turning it into more of a three-dimensional, form versus the circle that was a shape. So I've just chosen to use the scumbling technique because it's my favorite. So I'm just going to kind of work my way through this and use that scumbling. Same pen pressure the whole time, so I'm working nice and light. As it's going to slowly just build its way up as I work across it. So I'm trying not really, I'm scribbling, I'm scumbling, but I don't want to go outside of my circle too much because I want it to be understood as a sphere. So if I go all over outside of my line, it's just going to look like a mess. It's not going to look like a sphere. Here's my highlight. So it's going to come down. And now I'm going to really focus on this area right here to build up that shadow. I want to make sure that there's no hard edge, like there's no distinct area where I can see my value, the edge of my value really change. Kind of like when the sun rises or the sun sets and you see the sky changing from, yellow to pink to blue or however it changes, and you can't really find that spot where it changes from blue to pink or where it changes from yellow to pink or yellow to blue. It's one of my favorite things to look at is like, where is that change happening? But you can't really find it because the evolution of the color, the way the gradient happens, is so seamless. That's what I think about when I'm driving to school. So that's what I kind of want here on my sphere. I want this gradient on my sphere to be kind of seamless, as it fades into the darker areas. So my dark is just kind of continuing to build. Again, I'm doing this with pen, so just like the activity from Thursday, I have to own my marks. I can't pick them back up. So I kind of got to pay attention when I'm doing this. Can't talk too much. Okay, and you can see that sphere kind of starting to come to life. I'm going to build this up even more. Same pressure the whole time, just a lot of overlapping lines down here. Okay, so for every line that hits the paper, it's covering up a little bit more white. So it's making that value a little bit darker. And then we'll talk about this next week, but my sphere actually is darker right here than it is on the very, very bottom edge because of something called reflected light. Okay, that might sound familiar if you went over value in middle school. Talked about how light bounces and reflects a little bit. I'm going to build it up here a little bit. See, right here it's kind of it's a little rough. Build that up. Not too bad. Maybe build my shadow in here a little bit more. Make it a little bit darker. Put enough pen down on the paper and the paper starts to get kind of distressed. Okay, so there's most of my sphere. It's still a little light right here. You can darken that up some. Maybe bring my shadow up and around just a little bit. Give it a little bit more roundness. Maybe up and over the top. There's kind of a rounded sphere. And then if I really want to go crazy, highlight, cast shadow, totally go in here and start scumbling in my cast shadow. So my cast shadow is going to be darkest, the darkest dark possible, right underneath of that shape. Okay, and then, sorry, my video skipped. I'm going to keep scumbling really dark under that shape. That cast shadow is going to keep coming out. It's going to lighten up a little bit as it gets out, farther away. The outside edges of your shadows are always a little bit lighter than the very center. So I'm staying within this little cast shadow space. I think I'm probably pressing down a little bit harder here than I was on my actual sphere. Okay, my line weight is a little bit thicker, definitely heavier. I can do that here because I know all of this is going to be pretty dark. My sphere, I had areas where, it was really light and delicate, so I kept all of this line weight up here very, very soft, so that way I could build and layer up the weight of my line slowly. So that value kind of occurred, very naturally. So it's very dark underneath of that sphere. No light can get to it at the very bottom. And then as the shadow continues out, the sphere is curling up away in space. The shadow is going to build up. Okay, and then there's a little cast shadow. So my reflected light, and my cast shadow, my light source, and there's my sphere. Right? And then that's it. So you want to have something like this for Monday, again, along with your packet. This video to watch was totally optional. Hopefully you did watch it so you saw how it was sort of, formed together and the time I took on it. I'd say probably in total time, the two videos compiled together, 7-8 minutes. If it takes you longer than that, that's fine. If your first one doesn't come out the way you like it, and you say to me on Monday, mine isn't very good, do a second one. Keep practicing. The more you practice, the better you get. Right? You want to be proud of what you're drawing. Don't be passive. So the first one isn't, your favorite, try it again. Okay, and see how it goes. Maybe try a different technique. You tried scumbling first, or you tried cross-hatching first. Maybe try it with a linear. See how it goes. Okay, again, I'll see you Monday.